Optimus Gang, as you said, I've got my eyes on the jungler. His ability to just be omnipresent. Sure, the Thor was the selection, but there's a number of other highly mobile junglers for him to choose from. Terra and Raven taken away immediately. Neither team want to see that going on. And the Poseidon, an early mid lane ban coming out from the Papis.
It definitely targeted towards Death Panther. Not normally something that we see very often, but this is a strategy being deployed because the fact that maybe they're going for a high mobile jungler that doesn't want to necessarily get shut down by that Whirlpool cripple.
Yeah, I can see a lot of options. Specifically, Sir Cat is one of these characters that really dislikes Poseidon, and also characters that come from the sky. Thanatos and the Thor don't like landing down and get hit by a surprise Kraken. But Susanoo, of course, not just a Storm Kata, but also his teleport, going to be disrupted by that cripple from the Whirlpool. So Susanoo, one of the better characters in my personal opinion in the game. First pick for the Papis, Khepri, and perhaps a Kernanos. Optimus Gang thinking it over, will lock it in, and that dual lane is already pretty damn scary.
It has a lot of lane clear potential as well as kill potential if Khepri can find the root and the abduct. It's going to be very difficult for even the support player out of the Papis to be able to survive that dual lane, but now it's going to be the Vulcan paired up with the Susanoo. We talked about how we're going to have a very mobile jungler here for Papis with that Poseidon band, and it makes sense that it's going to be the Susanoo. Having a lot of damage from a distance is Vulcan with that Earthbreaker.
And also, don't forget, I mean, you shut down Vulcan's damage with a cripple. Backfire is a movement and a damaging ability on one of his go-tos, so with the cripple field down, there's another reason why we might see the Poseidon ban out. But Optimus Gang pick up the Cirquette as a strong selection. Almost as strong as Susanoo, I'd say, in the jungle. But what it comes down to is the player's ability. Cirquette, one of the harder gods to play, especially with the recent changes she had to her passive. Now needs all 3 stacks of poisons to really make the business happen. But Johnny showed us earlier that he has no problems hitting the buttons. So.
No, not at all. And we're going to see Cirquette being very aggressive with the Khepri to bail her out if she gets in a little bit of trouble. Heading into the secondary ban phases, Guardians being banned away from Optimus Gang. More defensive-minded here. The Geb for the shield and the Ymir for that important wall lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, these are just classic bans coming out from Optimus Gang. You look across the way, say they don't have a support. Ymir, not only is he a strong character against gods like Kernanos and Khepri, but he also is just powerful in Europe specifically. Gab, on the other hand, a lot of control and defensive-minded, as you mentioned. Hercules, though, will be the solo laner of choice for Optimus Gang. And a big, strong healer with a lot of displacement as well. I've always liked my Herc.
Not the easiest to land the pull-push combination, but we've seen a lot of solo laners trying to go for these early level 1 ganks in the mid lane, and Hercules is one of these gods that's going to provide the big oomph that you need, the driving strike to get somebody out of position from behind. You're putting them right towards the wave.
Look at this, a wheelish selection. It might be in the solo lane. Might be support. I think it's likely that we're going to see Amaterasu in the support selection with the wheelish in the solo lane. This is very interesting here. Normally we would see... I mean, honestly, what's going on here?
There's no hunter for Papis, no natural.
So you think it's going to be Bellona
hunter
in the short lane, Amaterasu and a wheelish in the hunter?
There could be a kill lane potentially with a wheelish Amaterasu in that dual lane with the aura from Amaterasu giving you that movement speed. We're going to see a wheelish get a little bit closer for that feather step. It's not uncommon to see kill lanes.
Susanoo, a wheelish, long lane, the pull into the pull. I don't know. Let's get right to it. Isis, last selection for the OGs. The Papis versus Optimus Gang. We'll see who winds up on top. The Papis will put that wheelish in the jungle for Dalo, and we'll see the kill lane of Warchi on the Hunter roll Susanoo. Very interesting choice here.
I like the idea. We haven't seen this very often ever since Season 1, where we would see Thor go on you, Hercules go on you, Sun Wukong Thor. This was normally being dictated by Paradigm.
Sure.
Back in the day with Trickstank and Funballer being in that dual lane, wanting to be very aggressive every single time that they got a chance to do so. But Creed has made the rotation similar to how he's done it before.
Shows cards a little bit early. If Creed waits it out there and allows Death Panther to use the push that Isis has, might be able to come around the backside and get the kill. but that's a might. He's guaranteed to go ahead, get the farm in the mid lane, teleport to the solo, and get his farm over there. So take what you're guaranteed, not take the gamble, is what Papis are looking for. Push in the mid lane, thanks to the help from the solo lane, gives pressure to the Papis. They're able to invade on the speed side, but same thing for Optimus gang, speed for speed, nobody the wiser.
Because Painify left alone in that dual lane, but left alone is Death Panther as the support was too far
Beautiful
away.
play.
The wing gust, not enough movement speed to get him out of danger there.
Beautiful play coming out for the Papis here. Long-time team, and it shows. Ojaboom playing off of the feather step from Dalo. It's such a small amount of time that you're actually stuck in place with that feather step. But that's all Ojaboom needed was the pop. And then all of a sudden, first blood comes thanks to the long-range in-hands from Dalo. First blood for the Papis. They're on the board, and they're up by 500.
People forget just how much damage Dalo can do on the Willish specifically. This guy does one in-hand before the feather step, can get the second in-hand off.
Does he have the dash? He does.
Jet stream into the pull. Not going to find the pull, though, because Painify playing very carefully, getting the dash at level 2, which goes to show that he's a very seasoned veteran player. A lot of players that like to play aggressive will opt not to get the dash at level 2, trying to min-max their lane clear potential, and having the changing of the seasons would certainly allow him to do so.
Yeah, I think the dash does damage as well, so if you get into a position where you can aggressively dash, you're going to be totally fine clearing the wave. But if you get caught out versus a Susano Amaterasu, you're just dead.
Absolutely. Which is surprising to see that Fusify on the Khepri wasn't sitting in the dual lane trying to take advantage of the lack of range out of the dual lane from Papis. It's a risk versus reward coming out of Papis because, number one, they're not going to necessarily out-clear the Hunter Khepri, or at least not as safely, but they have the kill potential where they could just ignore the wave entirely, and because the cooldown's being expended by Optimus gang to clear the wave, now the cooldown's coming out of Papis is being used to kill the enemy gods and then clear the wave afterward.
Yeah, once the Papis hit level 5 in this dual lane, the control out of these two characters is going to be incredible. Warchi's going to be able to pull somebody towards him and then unleash the vortex and get them stuck in that little whirlpool type nonsense. And then as soon as they get out, Draco Marino can go ahead and pop the ultimate and stun them, or vice versa. Either way, you're gonna be stuck where the Papis want you and where you don't want to be. Johnny trying to change that a little bit. We'll go back as he leeches some experience and hits level 5. Warchi and his support player trying to make it happen. Warchi hits 5 and he'll back to base.
And with Johnny being level 5 on the Sarkhet, I think his goal was to go onto Draco Marino on the Amaterasu because she has the Hand of the Gods, doesn't have the beads or the Aegis, so that's not going to allow him to really survive against the Sarkhet poisons.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough for Warchi here, building up that Transcendence, which is interesting. We almost never see this item built on the Susano, simply because his main role is in the jungle. But at the end of the day, 60% scaling on most of his abilities, but that ultimate, 140% scaling. Yes, 140% scaling on that ult. So he's going to benefit from the power on that Transcendence a big time. And by putting him in this role and putting him in the long lane, Toli, it really gives him the luxury to build an item like this.
Especially if he's going to be left alone in a 1v1 for a majority of the game. A lot of supports will hug hand in hand with the allied mid laner and the jungler, trying to look for the 3v3s in the jungle side around gold here, which leaves your typical hunters alone, but it's not your typical hunter matchup here. This time it's Kurnos against the Susano. And Susano is a god that wants to look for poke damage and get out. Find the jet stream, find the pull, find 2 hits of the Storm Kata, use the 3rd strike just to get out, rinse and repeat every single set of cooldowns.
Yeah, I guess it's still open. Knock up on the right side. Dalo trying to find the feather step. Can't, won't, but there's a jump forward. And damage out of Creed as he finds the ultimate as well, but healing up is Hercules. Hammer coming down, bring him down low. Feather step confirms it. Dalo with the 2nd kill of the game. Zigzag from Johnny as he tries to make up for it, but can't. So Papis pick up their 2nd kill and will walk away. Support player here trying to help out, but that be that.
I like the commitment not to use the ultimate coming out of Draco Marino, recognizing that the team fight was over, there was no point in using anything. The cooldowns were still available from the ambush. A little bit of poke though, Jetstream being used to follow Caspina5 through the dash, and that's a good thing to do every now and then because it also resets your cooldown by half after you do take it.
Yeah, I guess Susano could just go into the Hydra's Lament after here, which is the standard build path, but why I brought that up, Toli, was I wanted to bring up and highlight the differences between playing Susano in the jungle versus the long lane. Now, we're probably likely going to see the CDR item, but that's one of the luxuries that you get from being in the long lane, which is kind of the solo lane these days, is you have more time to build these longer, aggressive items. Warchi or Susano in the jungle always has something to do. Farm, gank, help get blue, farm, gank. In the long lane as a hunter, you're chilling. So you have these luxury items that you can build. What else do you get from putting Susano in the hunter role?
You can also get the Heart Seeker anytime you really want to, just to get that initial burst damage.
I don't even mean just itemization. Why put the Susano in the hunter role at all?
To min-max the resets of the back Harpies. Because of how mobile he is, he's able to bounce between lane and the back Harpies. But trying to get into it is Johnny.
Not going to be the case. Goldfear goes away to the Papis, but Johnny picks up Draco Marino and looking for a secondary, but Warchi able to find a way out. Johnny doesn't look like he's done here. I think he's going to go for it.
He wants something out of it, at least. He only found that one kill. It's not really enough to justify giving up a gold here around the 6.5 minute mark, but finding a tier 1 mid is not too shabby at this point.
Yeah, all 5 players from Optimus Gang going to group up and look for the tier 1 tower here. Ojuboom grouping up forward by himself, now joined by the Bologna. That's a lucky shot, and Optimus Gang not able to clear out the tier 1, but it is really low. Down to about 10% HP is that tier 1 tower.
Not too much to write home about, though, for Optimus Gang. They didn't get credited the gold, and that tower is going to be well defended now that Papis have made the rotation back, trying to defend their own speed buff. Even a ward being placed by Sibia, looking like he wanted, was flirting with the idea behind invading. He could have looked for a potential lucky pull, not really committing his character towards that, but either way, walking away rather cleanly was the Papis, only losing 1 member, still defending their tier 1 mid. Papis looking like they still have a great early start compared to their earlier game today.
Listen, you lose your support while getting the Gold Fury. Everybody in the world that plays Smite knows that's worth. You don't need to do the math to really figure that one out. Draco still level 7 compared to Fusify's level 8, but just now digging it up, looks like only a half of a level separating our 2 support players, and not that big of a deal.
Also separating the 2 support players is the different choices of the itemization. Going for the Reinforced Greaves versus the Traveler Shoes means that Draco Marino is going to be much more tankier here in these team fights, whereas there's more gold income for Fusify. But to make up for that, the Bumbus Mask, as long as Draco Marino sits around some of the jungle camps, he'll get a little bit additional gold per minion that gets slain, but just not as much as Fusify once he tags a member for that 30 gold.
I love the choice of tank boots here for Draco Marino. When it comes down to it, Traveler's Boots, yes, they will give you some extra farm, but they also give you extra movement speed. Amaterasu doesn't need it. She's got it built in. Now, if you look at some of the other choices, or some of the characters across the way, tons of crowd control for Optimus Gang. You got the Driving Strike, the Cobra's Kiss, the Spirit Ball, and the Silence, the Kepri Pull, and the ultimate out of Kernanos, the CCR, not Credence. The crowd control reduction on these boots is going to be a big deal for Draco Marine to stay competitive in these team fights and not be completely controlled by the exorbitant amount of CC on the side of OG.
20% exactly to be mentioned about those boots, and that's a huge margin to consider against Caspanify's Wild Hunt. To be transformed into a boar for 2 seconds is a little bit too long, so scratching about 0.4 seconds off of that is going to allow him to get back into the thick of things a little bit quicker. But in the solo lane, Johnny looking for some more action. He was camping around the dual lane earlier on about 5 minutes ago, but now not finding anything quite yet until that Gold Fury.
Just 30 seconds shy of 10 minutes here. The Papis and Optimus Gang, the 2 challenger teams coming in here for relegation, trying to take each other down. We already have 1 confirmed as Draco Marine. See, that's where the CCR comes into play. Fusify grabs with the Abduct, he gets hit by the Spirit Ball, and he's able to walk away. Now, I don't think that's a dead Amaterasu even with a different pair of boots, but that just goes to show how important the CC is for Optimus Gang, and he's able to shrug it off no problem.
And able to shrug off the poke damage coming out of Warchi. Caspanify staying in that spring stance, getting that lifesteal. Not really sure what he's going for quite yet in his build. After we're switching the stances, we'll see his item choices, but normally you don't have to go for the lifesteal if you're Kernos because of your kit having that option of the spring season.
Yeah, most of the time we actually don't see the Kernoses or any hunters really go lifesteal. The Asias kind of went the way of the Dodo. No pun intended, but I made myself laugh on that one. Sorry, Dark Dodo, I love you. The lifesteal, the Aussie, not really a popular choice here. We usually just see the plate attack speed and the chins. Sorry.
We haven't really seen too many lifesteal choices out of Hunters recently, whether it's the Devo Gloves or the Aussie, electing to go for a much more aggressive build, trying to min-max their damage potential in these teamfights as long as they're careful with their positioning.
And why do you think that is?
Well, a lot of metas change in between seasons. We've seen the Devo Glove splits in Season 1 and Season 2, and then we've seen the more aggressive start with the Ica Vial. A lot of damage being dealt onto Johnny, but nothing to respond with. But anyway, going back to the Hunter discussion, it's just not... Oh, never mind. Johnny's in a lot of trouble.
He jumps over the wall and walks right into Dalo. That right there is a solid team. Give it up for the Papis. You have... So... The crowd control comes onto the mid laner. No communication necessary for Draco to save his mid laner by way of the silence. Warchi's in trouble here, turn around, big deal. But so Draco gets the silence onto the Circuit so she can't follow up with the damage and kill the Vulcan, which is exactly what was going to happen. Zigzag, ult, dead Vulcan, see you later. Big silence coming out from Draco. And then Ojaboom and Draco say that the Circuit's jumping over the wall. Dalo makes sure to come over there. Beautiful communication, proof that the Papis have been doing this for a long time.
Circuit's normally a god that tries to go in as the secondary initiator before somebody else. That's why we see a lot of damage potential with her ultimates and her combinations. But whenever she's the primary initiator, she's very easy to lock down.
Here's a jump onto Isis, 2 basics, looking for the feather step. Beautiful silence to prevent it, but it's just not good enough. Dalo finds his 4th of the game. That's 4 in total for the Papis. Dalo really doing the heavy lifting here.
Because Spainify can only watch from a distance as his mid laner did fall down. The ultimate was not available. The Wild Hunt was on cooldown, probably used to try to thwart away the aggressiveness from Warchi in that dual lane, and still without a single kill, it's not looking too solid for him, but at the same time, he hasn't really fed, so it's still a good spot in team fights.
I'm really excited to hear the dual lane for the Papis working out, specifically about the Susano pick. He did go the Transcendence, and that's really what I was saying, is that you have the luxury of building these more expensive items because you're there. You're not expected to make a play at 5 minutes like you are in the jungle, right? That's what Dalo's been doing. That's Dalo's job. Your job as a Hunter player, just hang out. We'll call you 20 minutes, see what happens.
Just farm and chill, but no chilling here in the dual lane with Dalo making the rotation. Nice Aegis being procced up to avoid the feather step, but not going to avoid the Typhoon as a result.
Just gone. 5-1. Big plays coming out from the Papis so far. Gold Fury halfway dead already. Here comes Sibi in a rotation as well from a teleporting player. Big confirm. That's going to be the 2nd Gold Fury for the Papis. Now looking for the follow-up fight. Jump over the wall is good. Sibi gets knocked up. Saved by Fusify. But Ojaboom following up. There's the knock-up just onto the support. The blink forward from Dalo. Sets up Ojaboom. Bang goes the Vulcan. Boom goes the kill. It's 6-1.
Dalo has been making the plays, and Creed trying to complement that in the mid lane, finding a little bit of poke. Dalo diving the tier 2 tower with the support player. Isis ultimate coming out for the damage mitigation. Another blink from the Circuit, but getting pulled away from the danger. Amaterasu living, but not Johnny.
Hasta luego, 1 dead. Johnny finds his 2nd death of the contest. Tier 1 tower being aggressed on by the Papis. Fusify knocked up. Still not dead as the tower, but very low are the Papis. They'll walk away, and they'll take that minor victory, despite the fact not able to get the reward after the fact. 14 minutes in here, folks. The Papis off to a tear. 5K in the lead, 7 kills up.
But very risky play, though, for them to start the Gold Fury in front of Sibi's face. The Hercules Boulder is one of these abilities that can easily steal away an objective, but they had 2 factors to help secure that Gold Fury. Number 1, they had Hand of the Gods on Draco Marino. Number 2, they also have the Vulcan on Ojaboom. Now, granted, the Earth Shatter takes a long time to use, even point-blank range, along with the Meatball and Backfire, but as long as you're in a Discord, Mumble, whatever the case, you communicate all your cooldowns at the same time. You're like, all right, 3, 2, 1, burst, let's go, let's go, let's go. You get all those cooldowns down, then Sibi's Boulder is just meaningless.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, you also have multiple options to really stop that Boulder, right? You can Draco can go out and silence the Hercules, anticipating when he's going to try to find the counter burst. So a lot of tools for the Papis to go ahead and take that successfully, even against the character. I mean, you mentioned the Hercules, but even the Isis, right? Had the Isis been there, she was dead, which is why that opened up the Papis' door for the Gold Fury. Isis, I think, is the primary concern of the Papis. And listen, Sibi, he's died twice already. Complete control from Creed. out of the solo lane. I mean, really, I'd like you to expand that on that totally as a solo laner. Creed has just controlled the right side of the map, which is translated into the rest of the game by putting Sibby down by himself.
It was also because Dalo has made a slight presence in that lane, whereas Johnny was focused on that dual lane, or the early 4 to 5 minute mark gank, didn't really make anything out of it, and as a result, was losing a little bit too much farm. Bellona can easily out-clear the Hercules at level 1 and 2 with just a bludgeon on the hammer. As long as you have the Death Toll, you have a lot of sustain, whereas Sibby, he needs to rely about level 3. Once he gets 2 points in that driving strike, he gets to pull up using that Bluestone pendant, then he can start actually contesting the Bellona clear. But at that point, you might have been missing out on some Fire Giant elementals, and then you're gonna not hit level 5 necessarily first, and that could be an easy play opportunity, open up the door for Creed.
Optimus gang regrouping here on the right side. Down but not out. About 6,000 gold beneath their opposition, the Papis. Still a situation that they can absolutely fight into, Toli. Right now, one of the choices, I want to highlight Oju Boom for a second. We always speak about how Vulcan is this character that you can level his abilities in any way, but we always see Backfire, Meatball, then Turret. Well, we actually see Turret second here, and I think that's a big part of what Oju Boom wants to do here is zone Optimus gang taking the aggro path for the first time all game. Now going to be chased off, and Creed by himself, 1 versus 5, making it happen. Only down to 60% HP. Death Panther, on the other hand, dead but saved by Fusify. Draco Marine turning around, looking for help. There's going to be a flip onto 2 different players, and the Hercules boulder just tickles. The Papis are hurt, Toli, but they're going to be able to walk away. And Optimus gang, honestly, should they take this fight?
Ooh, the pull into the push. So nice dash from Creed, avoiding the driving strike back into danger. Finding the pull is Warchi. So much damage coming out of the Susano Hunter. Diving in,
Warchi
teleporting into the jet stream. Storm cutting Johnny to the grave.
Yeah, I mean, that right there, that's your Hunter Susano with 50 stacks of Transcendence, right? He did nothing, he hung out, and then 16, 17 minutes in, you get smacked in the face by a Storm Kata that hits a lot harder than you're used to, and you're already used to Storm Kata hitting you for a zillion. So Warchi coming here from the long lane, making the rotation exactly when he's supposed to. This right side tower up, but not for long.
Not for long at all, as the rest of the Papis has made the rotation. They took the Portal Demon to be able to get through to the right lane. Still doing so much damage is Ojo Boom, barely underneath his solo laner on the Bellona.
And that's what I was about to talk about, was the maximization of the turret. So he's able to find these knockups, which helps out Dalo, but he knows that the Meatball doesn't have to do the damage. Dalo's going to find it, whether it's with an ultimate or otherwise, right? The knockup alone is fine. He's putting down the turret, and Optimus gang, they can't approach because it's hitting them for so much damage. Everybody outside of the support and Hercules, it's meaningful damage. Hey, Dalo just picks up Death Panther for fun.
No problem at all. Finding the pull. Yeah, Vulcan ultimate being used just for good measure. Wasn't on the mark, but Johnny looking for something underneath. That Fire Giant was pulled for quite a while. Now Boom took a lot of damage.
I like that play coming out from the Papis right there. Completely baited Johnny into it. Following the ultimate is the Bellona. Jumping over the top comes Creed. Finds the stun. Draco gets the last hit off of the assist from the solo laner. Continuing on is Warchi as he gets to the back line. Dashes out to the right-hand side. Sibby knocked up. Still trying to find damage on Optimus gang's side of the Fire Giant. Creed battling 1v1 here against the Hunter. In trouble. Last hit goes to Dalo as the Papis help out their solo laner. Bad luck 13, but it's good luck for the Papis. 19 on the clock, and they are carrying this game to the victory screen.
Creed was zoning for so long. He zoned out Painify and Fusify. He actually found a kill on the Khepri support earlier on until the rest of his teammates made their rotation to clean up the enemy Hunter. And this kind of disparity is not looking too good here for Optimus gang, Tom.
I don't call that zoning, Toli. He's just fighting them. There's a difference between, all right, I'm a zone, I'm gonna toss out some abilities, and just rally here on your face 1v5. I don't care. He just hits level 17, ding for the Bellona, and he's beating up level 13s. He just doesn't mind. He's going right for it. Dalo picks up number 14 nice and easy. The Papis are making a fantastic statement, and listen, I will address the elephant in the room. I have been very critical of the Papis in the past, more joking so than not. But at the end of the day, the Papis just weren't strong enough to make it to the SPL. The work that they've put in over the past couple of years, the job that they have done, not only improving individually, but improving as a unit, a lot of what I've put my hands up together for this team, this game, has been the unification, the teamwork, the cohesion, and the communication. This is what you need to have to be an SPL level team, and this is their split, Toli. I think that we're looking at a future SMITE Pro League team here with Papis.
Absolutely agree with you here, Tom. And it's not just about their play and execution this game or the previous one, but it's also about the strategies that they deploy, whether it's finding a gank here, finding a gank there, Dalo making the plays happen, but also their god composition in this game specifically. Who would have thought Susanoo on Warchi was an actual thing that could have been run at an SPL level? But Papis, Michael Checo, yeah, absolutely. But we're talking about SCL here at the same time. To be fair, though, he has run some pretty wacky stuff that has worked out. But Papis looking very strong no matter what pick they have.
Fire Giant, the target here for the Papis. It's 14-1, 21-21 on the clock. Looks like the blue team gonna finish up on the Fire Giant, still 10%. Optimus gang coming through, dead not yet as Fire Giant gets taken by the Papis as they started it. Looking for the secondary kills as the team fight is here. One for Dalo, that's one dead. Warchi gets one as well. Two down on the side of Optimus gang. Knocked up and knocked down. Ojo, boom, makes it happen. Big plays for the mid lane, and down goes Sibby if they can find the last hit. Dalo puts number 18, and this game is an adult, and it's over. The Papis take the victory, a